Welcome back. This is the 12th video in our Unix tools series. So in the 11th video, I showed you how to make a compressed backup, and then we decompressed it. And our screen looked exactly as you see when we completed that. And I said I would show you the gold standard for determining if our restored Friday directory matches the original Friday.old. So how do we do that? In a previous video, we learned about a command called diff, which calculates the differences between files. It can also calculate the differences between whole folders or directories. And the way you do that is you say diff minus R. And R is for recursive. So we'll compare Friday.old and the Friday that we uncompressed. So this is the original one that we made the backup from, and then we renamed it. This is the one which we recreated by using our long command line to decompress and then unpack the archive. So let's press the enter and see what the output is. You can see there is no output. What does that mean? It's a little confusing. Keep in mind, Unix tends to have no output if there is no problem. And that's what the diff command does. If we say diff help, you can see these options are available. We use this one for recurse, which says that file 1 and file 2, if those are folders, recurse all the way down into subfolders and sub-subfolders and sub-sub-subfolders as deep as you need to go to compare everything. Well, you can also put a -Q that says output only whether files differ, and you can output a -S that says report when two files are the same. So let's see what happens if we put an S on here, like that, RS. And it tells you, file by file, they are identical, the same. So all the files are the same, and there's no other message. So that confirms that when we restored from our backup, we got exactly the same folder with the same files and the same structure that we had when we made the backup. So I'm happy with that. Let's remove Friday again using the force recursive removal. The next question I know you want to ask is, I don't need all the files, I just want one file or some files. How do I do that? Well, the first thing you have to do is go back and see what's inside. How do you see what's inside a compressed file? Well, you're going to have to decompress to the console, which means to the pipe. And then we're going to do tar with our test option. And that's going to let us look inside the compressed archive by decompressing it and then looking inside that pipe. But it's not going to actually unpack anything. It's just going to show us what's inside the archive. Those are the names. And let's pick one. Let's say I want to get Friday 3. Okay, that's the file I want. So I'll say extract verbose from the file, from the pipe, and then I need to give the name of the file I want. and I say I want Friday 3 text. And if I press enter, you can see it only got one file. If we do a find on Friday, there's only one file. And if we cat on Friday 3 text, you see it has the contents 3. And if we look at the original, it also had the contents 3, or we could use our diff tool with the -s option. And now we're not going to compare the directories. We're going to compare the actual files one by one, like that. And they are identical. So we can extract any single file if we know the name. That's nice. Let's say I need another file, or I want to extract 2 files. Okay. I should show you how to do that. So we'll delete that Friday. So we have Friday old, which has all our original information. And then let's say we also want to get Friday Python hello.py. So I've listed 2 of the files with their relative paths. And you can see it got those 2 files. And if we find Friday, those 2 files exist. And we can cat this one. And you can see it has the right information. Does it have the right permissions and ownership and all that stuff? So yes, it does. It's read, write, execute, owned by John. It has this timestamp. If we look at the one in Friday.old, using the same command, you see the timestamps are identical, the size is identical, the user and the group are identical, the permissions are identical. And of course, we probably should verify that not only does the file have the same number of bytes, it has exactly the same bytes in exactly the same order. They are identical. So I've shown you how to create backups in 2 steps and how to get either the entire backup restored, or you can choose one file, or you can choose a list of files that you want to restore. The next question in your mind should be, how come it takes 2 steps to make the backup and only 1 step or 1 command line to unpack it? Well, I was taking it easy on you. So let's remove Friday. Let's make a backup of Friday.old using just 1 line and still getting a compressed backup. How do we do that? Well, it looks the same when we start. We say I want to make a archive with tar, create, verbose, file, but this time I'm going to send the data to the pipe. And then I give the name of the folder. And I put the pipe symbol. And then, because we're sending data to the pipe, I can now do an xz command, which is the compression command. And after I do that, I can probably specify verbose, and I'll redirect that to a file called friday.old.tar.xz. And you can see we got the list of files just as we expected. We got the compression information. And if we look, we have another file. It's a little bit larger, 388 instead of 384. Let's count these. 1, 2, 3, 4 more bytes. So clearly, because the directory name is longer, we need a little bit more space to store everything because the names are longer for the folder. Let's see what's inside. So if we do an XZ decompress to the console, which is the pipe, this archive, and then we say tar test, which is also lets us list verbose file from the pipe. We'll see what's inside, and you can see it looks the same as this one, except our folder name is different. So we've learned how to back up and restore, and that's enough for this video. Thank you for listening.